too long, but even that.
Okay, councillors and those residents in the gallery. I hereby open the open council meeting, 27th of January 2026. In accordance with the local government meeting procedures regulation 2025, the public is advised that the proceedings of the meeting of council will be recorded on digital media to assist in the preparation of minutes and ensure a true and accurate accounting, debate and discussion of the meeting is available. All persons attending the council meetings as part of the gallery are to behave in a respectful and considerate manner and not be engaged in conduct or language that could be perceived as offensive, defamatory or threatening towards others. Individuals that do not adhere to this direction may be asked to leave the chambers. Council is also reminded that their behaviour is governed by the local government meeting procedures regulation 2025, regulation 49, suspension for the meeting. West Coast Council acknowledges the traditional custodians on the land in which we gather today and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. Item 1 is record of attendance, colleagues, leave of absence. So we've got a leave of absence from Councillor Stringer. Declaration. Item 2 is declaration of interest. Councillors and staff must declare any peculiar or conflict of interest in any agenda item. I'd like to declare in item 1826, declare an interest in the lease of the renewal for Queenstown Lions Club of Queenstown Recreation Reserve, as I am a member of the executive of Queenstown Lions Club. Nathan, please. Yep.
And I'd also like to declare to see a conflict of interest. Item 18, as I'm a member of the Queenstown Lions Club, but I'm not a member of the executive.
And through you, Mayor, also I'm a member of the Lions Club and I did write the report, but I'm not on the executive, so there's nothing to see.
Okay, thank you. No others, councillor? Item 3.26, confirmation of minutes. The recommendation is that minutes of the ordinary meeting of council held at the council chambers on the 11th of December 2025, copy of which, having been previously circulated to council's prior to the meeting, be confirmed as a true and accurate record. Someone like to move that way, please? Moves Councillor Butterfield, second Councillor Ivany. We'll put that to a vote. All those in favour? Against? Councillor Haynes against. And Councillor Gordon, was you against or for?
Yes.
Against.
I didn't attend the meeting, so I can't confirm.
Thanks, Councillor. So this part of the meeting, would like to, if I'd like a councillor to move a motion, if and seconder, we can just change the order of the meeting, given that we've got some people in the gallery that were interested in one of the reports that is coming up in the meeting, that we move that report forward to now. Those people can ask questions during question time, or they can leave if they didn't want to stay for the rest of the meeting. So I'd like to move a motion that I'd like the council to move a motion for item 21, 26 to be moved forward into the agenda. Move Councillor Graham, second Councillor McKay. Put that to a vote, councillors. All those in favour? All in favour. Thank you, councillors. So that item is on page 218 in the agenda, councillors. If you'd like to move to item 218. Okay, item 21. Report on the Straw Waterfront Petition Public Meeting. So the recommendation is that council acknowledge the community concerns raised in relation to the Straw Waterfront petition submissions and consider the proposed mitigations and outcomes detailed within the report. 2, endorse the immediate action taken in relation to the Straw Waterfront project. A, cessation of the installation of all hard rock landscaping. B, review the project works contract implementation leadership. Number 3, action for immediate implementation and progression. The removal of all hard landscaping in the form of rock at the lowest possible cost, reusing the material for alternative council works. B, investigation of a temporary fuel supply option via self-funded module to allow the fuel tanks to be demolished to improve wharf access and traffic circulation. C, provide advice to all non-essential traffic on the wharf area to be included through updated traffic signage to assist the works support functions. D, review wharf approvals for project works. D, completion of the new toilet facility as a priority. Item 4, action detailed community consultation on project design elements include A, waterfront view in the design to align with the community visions. B, landscaping design review. C, removal of a large portion of the current wall structure, excluding the support area for the new waterfront shelter. D, water's edge concrete designs. D, site and precinct parking solutions. F, precinct signage and waypoint finding. And G, material selection and resilience suitability. 5, action. B, working wharf industry stakeholder consultation on the preferred wharf access protocols to support vessel use, refueling and catch landing. 6, consultation to be updated using the IAP2 model for the various project element components. 7, investigate the potential options for additional toilet facilities on the Straw waterfront precinct. 8, confirm the following schedule for the community engagement and collaboration meetings to be led by the General Manager in Strawn for February, April 2026 to refine the new design considerations prior to reporting back for costings and implementation to the West Coast Council. A, it's Thursday the 19th of February 2026 at 6 p.m. in Strawn. B, Thursday the 19th of March 2026 at 6 p.m. in Strawn. And C, Thursday the 16th of April 2026 at 6 p.m. in Strawn. And 9, post-community consultation engagement and collaboration. Consider a report on the community feedback recommendation for project modifications on site at the West Coast Council ordinary meeting in April 2026. Okay, councillors. So that's the, and the reports, exclusive there. Any discussions on the matters, councillors?
I have something.
Yes.
As a
councillor.
councillor, I don't, and being in the meetings with the strong community now, I don't think, I know that our community don't want us to investigate or consider. They want us to cease all works, have an urgent safety review, assemble a wharf working group, and install toilets, including temporary toilets, ASAP. That's what I heard at the meeting. So that's what I'm looking for.
Thank you, councillor.
Through the mayor, is the provision in all of that for that to happen?
Through
Mr. Mayor, in terms of the recommendation, it's not to cease the works immediately, but significant contract implications for it in relation to being so close to finish certain elements of the work, as it's recommended there, item 2, we will cease the installation of hard rock landscape of that particular. In terms of our contract liability, we can certainly work through a number of the other concerns, but the consultation process around the installation of additional toilet facilities will require some time, given that I would ask the question, if we cease the works and we retain the current arrangements of not having access to adequate parking, that could cause us further considerations. The dynamic of completing the project, completing the parking, will take up a number of those car parks that are currently under construction for the installation of temporary toilets if council wants to add to the recommendation.
Through you, Mayor, how far are the toilets away from being completed?
through Mr Mayor, my understanding we're sort of 2 weeks away from having the toilets completed.
And the completion of the whole project?
Probably looking at 4 weeks for a while now.
So all of these recommendations, what does it cost the council?
The recommendations there at this point in time, there's very limited cost to council, as was discussed in the community meeting. That preserves the opportunity in terms of funding that's available for the rest of the project to actually change and consider some alternative outcomes.
I think we've heard it loud and clear that the wall is the item of contention, the rocks and the traffic management.
I guess that is in item 4, it does state that in item 4. that Remove a large portion of that wall that will come down. That's already, it's in there, it says that we will remove part of that wall. And also look at the water's edge concrete designs as well. And the parking and the, traffic management around the port area. So needs to be investigated.
Agree, Mr Mayor, council wanted to add to any of those particular items. This is a recommendation, it's council's desire.
I'd like to see, something put in there around the traffic management in that port area. Whether there's a change that can be made, so that there's the dual access, vehicle access out of the precinct. Looks like there is something there at the moment that's, could contemplate some dual access, that needs to be required.
Is that, rather removing those tanks once the tanks have been access to it, or if it's something?
Agree, Mr Mayor, the circumstances in terms of traffic on the waterfront, you've got two types, you've got lighter vehicles and you've got heavy vehicles. My understanding is that the concern of the community and the working port aspects is it's the heavy vehicles. To actually sort through that may require the separation of the two. Current design I've had a quick look at on site, there may be the ability to facilitate lighter vehicles exiting to reduce the confusion whilst we remove the fuel. We've started some conversations in relation to how we might work with the fuel, where those locations might be, but that needs to be worked through as well. Removing one thing could actually generate another problem. We're still working through that.
Through you, Chair, just a question to, well, actually, it's more of an observation. Earlier I sent a picture of the wharf, the old and the new separating where those houses are. There's a gap there, and I'm concerned with the fractures in the concrete, that there needs to be an investigation to see how much damage is actually done to it with all the operations, the concrete trucks, everything that's coming and going. I think we really need to have a little bit of a hazard report, a safety report. Yeah, if you can appease me with that, and councillors. The other thing is, through your chair, to the GM, the big chunk of the tourist season's just about gone again, and I would probably ask the GM, is it possible to write to the stakeholders and just give them an indication of when it's all over and when those toilets are up, just to keep them informed. No offence, some of the older tourists were caught short and they were boarding on the boat, not even their boat, but realised because they offered the toilets to the elderly couple. And yeah, there was a lot of angst around, as I say, we get one opportunity every year to make $1. And I just need us all to bear in mind that people are losing, and a lot of them. People don't, they book their ticket and said, no, can't deal with this. It's not what they expect, it's not what the pictures say. So, just for noting, thank you, Claire, thank you.
Yeah. Any other discussions on that?
Through you, Mayor.
Yes,
We've got a couple of public toilets that are located at the rear of the visitor centre. Is the ability to get those functional and open?
I think we're allowed access to that building.
Greens from there, where the visitor centre is at this point in time, doesn't comply with the DDA requirements in terms of accessibility, but I can certainly take it on notice.
Their external access from the rear.
thank you, Councillor.
Yes, I have one more point to make. I think we can make a laundry list of things that we should be doing that we haven't done. But I'm still not hearing the voice of the community, which is stop, reset. And that's what I'm not hearing. The community said, we've got these things we want you to do, we want them to stop. And that's really not in here. I'm not seeing it. It's investigate, it's consider. The community wants to know that we're going to stop, we're going to do a reset. We're going to start by putting that wall advisory group together. We're going to do an urgent safety review. I feel like we're just adding more stuff to the laundry list. But what we've really got to do is have pick those high priority items and assure the community that we're stopping and we're resetting and we're making sure we're doing it right this time. That's nice. We're not doing.
Through you, Chair, I've just heard it.
Well, the general manager more or less stated, well, we can't stop everything, otherwise it's going to cost us a lot of money. We've said what we're going to stop what the community wants, the rocks landscape will stop, we'll stop that. We've said that we're going to do that, we've said we'll stop the wall, we're going to start cutting the wall down. They're the two biggest things. We're looking at the traffic management, so we've stopped all other things around that traffic management area. But if we stop the project from full completion, we're going to be into issues with the contractors. That's where they're going to continue on with what can be done. It's not going to impede these other recommendations being put forward. Try and keep the things that the public want.
Through you, Chair, it's still a commercial port,
Yes.
it's still a tourist avenue. I just feel that we need to keep things moving along and just really start chipping away at things. I know what you're saying, Scott, but we just need to change it. We need to fix this quickly. And I agree, Vicky, we've got to stop. The community's spoken. Are we going to listen to them or are we going to ignore them? We need to come out of this meeting today with a let's fix it, not let's band-aid.
I need to get direction from council. Do you want me to stop the contract, believe that temporary fencing in the streetscape, deny that parking to everybody, or please understand that's one of the reasons why I didn't recommend stopping the contract. If you stop and terminate, we know the government's process attached to actually reinvigorating a new contract. You're off to tender, you're off to do all those things again. I truly appreciate it. The circumstance of physically pulling the builder up and say, package builders, he will leave it exactly like it is at the moment. There's a set of dynamics around your parking, also the circumstances in relation to not having ownership of the site. I can't just march in because the site belongs to the builder or whatever there's a contract in place. I can terminate the contract, take control of the site, but then I'm left with a whole lot of incomplete works. So there's a balancing in all of the discussion. The recommendation I've put forward is to allow us to immediately do a number of things. Please understand Aaron and I are working day and night to get it sorted. but we are constrained. These are things, you know, that, yes, I'd love to see all the fencing go, I'd love to see things go. I'm sitting here wondering whether they got asphalt down today.
Yeah, they did.
Right, so,
Yeah.
so there's, you know, I haven't had the opportunity to go and walk the site, I've been down there reasonably frequently. But it might be a situation where the asphalt is in, the fencing can come down, we can be extracting ourselves out of the project as quickly as we can. It'll be 2 to 3 weeks, correct me if I'm wrong, before we line mark or do anything like that, because we've got to get the volatiles out of the asphalt, otherwise you rework and spending more money. But in terms of an outcome, there's a number of things that we're pushing the contractor on to get finished. If you ask me to stop all that, I don't have a person to push. So there's a balancing in that. And I do appreciate the concerns. It's not an ideal situation. It's not something that I'm enjoying. But the situation is that we've got to move forward, and having a contractor on site will allow us to push certain elements to get completed.
Through you, Mayor. Whilst I agree with you, Vicky, exactly of the sentiment at the community meeting was to stop, I do believe then after community heard from Trevor Norton and with solutions, that there was a shift to move in that direction. So I think I've actually got Trevor's plan with me. I think that was a very clever solution, and solves a lot of the community angst with that. But I mean, we have to be good custodians of that space and come out with a reinvigorated waterfront
If I can speak.
that is safe.
Previous minute, if I can speak to item 4. To consult, to take us from where we are at this point in time, where consultation has not been anywhere near ideal, dare I say, half decent. The circumstances, the reasons I put all those elements into that consideration is there are some fundamental things that I would like to unpack with the community. For example, the waterfront views, right? In my mind, yes, there's got to be some sort of change of level protection where the car parking is down at the lower level. That can take a number of different forms. If the retaining structure is to remain in some form to support car parking and prevent a bit of rework in that space, we have to consider how we're going to get access to the water and provide that outcome. Having a 1 metre high wall that meets the handrail requirements still is not going to give you, in my perspective, enough view of the water as you traverse the road, because that's what catches people's imagination as they enter the space. So cutting it lower, is there a handrail involved? What design is involved in that? What does it take its cues from? Does it take its cues from, you know, the nautical themes in the community? So what does that actually look like? So that we're not in a circumstance where we're making change and then respectfully to community, they didn't know what the change was going to be when it was being made. That's why there's those elements in there. There's a lot of things that can be value added, and make the recommendation to remove a large proportion of the current wall structure, simply because I've got to hold up the shelter, the rest of it, from my perspective, can certainly change. Or what does that change look like? Is there a plan? Is there something I can take back to the stakeholder or community meeting that gives a clear indication so that when council signs off on the change, which I respectfully think should come back to council, hence the timelines within the recommendation, that process will actually give you the quality that you need, where you can invest your last few resources in place and getting an outcome.
Through you, Chair, to the chairman. About 3 years ago, I asked why they put that carriage down there, very out of theme with the whole wharf. I will tell you now, you remove that carriage, that is the start, and it's going to start opening up some space. It shouldn't be there, it should never have been. I feel like some days I'm passionate against wall, which I probably am, but please, listen to me. Start to open space up, stop throwing stuff in there. Let's do something. If you want to keep those builders there, start removing some stuff. Cover in those tanks. Put something around the centre, that's what they do. there's cracks in underneath it that's supposed to be filled with water. But I think you really need to look at what's happening down there with that concrete.
There's a set of circumstances where we're bound by the agreements that we struck. The carriage itself is not a lease.
But I tell you, we can always terminate it, it doesn't fit.
I understand.
It should never have happened.
I do appreciate that we can make changes, but there needs to be a broader consideration of that. Because there will be a financial and reputational impact to council and community for upsetting one of the key icons.
No offence, I think it, through you, Chair, I think if we wrote to him, explain the situation, and what are you gonna do? Piss off one person and appease a whole community. Open the space for safety, and I'm sure if you wrote to that stakeholder, I'm sure he would work out, we can put that somewhere else. That's probably a better place. We didn't discuss it, you weren't here, sorry, Scott, but it was not discussed, it was just there, and that's how it's gonna be. I'm gonna tell you, we can do better.
And that's what, for my intention, what I was about actually doing all that work a whole lot better than it's currently.
Very Chair, it's like, listening to what others have said as well. I think if we stop the project, we potentially still have fences up there in 6 months' time, no change. Space is still there, it's not usable. Still flooded, still the access is just harder for the people that need use for, still trucks coming and going. If we allow the project to continue following the recommendations of the report, that we stop certain things and we consult with the community about how we fix some of the other items, at least that space can be open, the fence can come down, doesn't look like the construction site, the site becomes more usable straight away because it doesn't have mesh fences around it, doesn't have keyed out construction site fences around it. And it also allows people to wander around the other side and see those. The way we work with the community, the recommendations, come up with a plan with what the community wants. And realise that move the wall is there, general language is some options, how much of the wall we can remove, what we put there, you have to have some barrier, whether it becomes a glass panel, whether it becomes a ship's bow rail, stainless steel. But what about the community? If we stop, I fear that we're still going to be looking at it in 6 months' time with no change. We're still going to have barriers, fences up. We're going to pay the contractor anyway. If we stop, and I hear what people are saying, if we stop, those fences still will be there in 6 months' time. And then next summer we could be going through the same.
And through you, Mayor, to Councillor Butterfield, I'm just so concerned about throwing good money after bad. A couple of the capital improvement projects that we've had lately, it feels like we were constantly being told that they're going to get done in the end of this month, the end of next month, and then it just kind of rolls on. So I guess I'm looking for assurances, and what I'm hearing is that the general manager and Aaron will be taking ownership of stewarding this project forward. It's not going to be somebody else will be given a amount for the two of you. So I guess I'm looking for those assurances that this is a project that's going to be stewarded properly for our community, so that I can be confident in saying that this is in hand. This is going to be action.
Thanks, Councillor. I guess that's 2B states that review on project contract implementation ownership, which the general manager has already stated that he's taken over leadership, him and Aaron have taken over leadership of that project. Now, so yes, Councillor George.
I would find it difficult to support full stoppage, but in saying that, we need to move forward. No two ways about it, we need to move forward. I think we need to move forward with this proposed group of people. Full stoppage, I believe, would just have too many financial implications. The entire organisation and the project in itself. So that's why I find it difficult to support full stoppage. We need to move forward. propose to move forward with this proposed working group.
You know,
The community has spoken, we've listened to their concerns, let's take those concerns on board. And the community is serious listeners to them, so we need to listen.
Yeah, I can be telling you, didn't look at that full stop, we certainly look for the same outcome, is to get back to that, the original, process of what the outcome that was designed by everybody was a space that was conducive to pop-up markets and, you know, a pedestrian thoroughfare, an area where people could sit and take in that whole environment. You know, if we could get back to having that concept of reality, then I think that's what the community always wanted. That's what we thought we were giving permission for everybody to do. And I think, that was the outcome that we could get to in the shortest possible time, then everybody will be happy. You know, and these things evolve over time, but at the end of the day, that's the key that we're all looking to try and get. So if we can do that, then everybody will find a amenable solution. That still doesn't take into account the carriage, and I agree, you heard me then, here right from the start, the carriage came in early. We weren't even consulted on that as a council, it was popped up there, this is well before we put it. So no one, there's a lot of us at the table that we're happy to get the carriage down there. But, the play space on that area in the forecourt of the Tourist Information Centre will pop up events, marketplaces, just pedestrian thoroughfare, an area for contemplation for the tourists in Maple White was what the original concept was. And that's what we want to get back to.
In terms of the advice of the local residents, which I appreciate, the asphalt has been done, we can move to actually implement something as, you know, as good as affordable, good doesn't. That is a solution for part of the pain points that are currently there. So certainly take that on board.
Bridge, and I think that's way forward, Gina Scott. And again, just to finish off, the railway is now under new management, and I think it wouldn't hurt to just ask. What's the worst if they can say no? If we don't try, I want to be proactive, I want to push us all forward and work with the community. And the team.
Is he in gone?
No, the old management, which was now Ian's new management.
Point taken.
Thank you.
Thank you, councillor, we have, discussed that in the past about
Yes, we have discussed
writing
it many
to
times.
the
Yeah.
new management to see if they take up that offer, remove that, and I like that. Okay, councillors. We'll put it to a vote.
What are we going to put to the vote? How are you going to word this? Because.
Oh, so we need someone to move and second the motion. Someone like to move the recommendation that was put forward.
Well, I'll move the recommendation in its current form, because I think that really should have that coming up with. And this is directly from the community. And they can move that recommendation in its entirety, all 9 points. I'll second that.
Councillor Newman. No other discussion on the matter then, councillors? Put to a vote. Put to a vote. All those in favour? Against?
I'm in favour, but I'm hesitant.
And the councillor, I think, is against. Thank you, councillors.
I don't know, I'm trying to be a fence sitter.
You need a motion, Ben, don't you?
No,
We need to change the standing orders, do we?
no, we only, Okay, item 4 is public question time, participating question time. As part of the meeting, a member of the public may give notice to the general manager 7 days before the ordinary meeting. A member of the public may also attend the meeting and ask questions in person. Maximum 2 questions can be asked per person. Person must state their name and address prior to asking their question. got 15 minutes of this part of the meeting. Questions and answers to be questioned, not to be debated. The regulations also provide council to determine any other procedures to be followed in respect of question time beyond the regulation. Before we, got a couple of, written submissions, General Manager. Would you like to?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I won't read them out in detail, but Kerry Laffer has raised a question. There's a response there in the agenda. Also, there was a question raised from Terry Barclay in Queenstown. And there is also a question there from Keegan Owens in Queenstown.
The Terry Barclay one, there's no response there.
I'm just looking at that, yes. I can advise everybody that Aaron myself went and visited the site. Currently working through getting the contractor to actually that tree. Whilst the arborist did say that the tree was okay, as I pointed out to Aaron, standing there on the street on Friday afternoon, in 5 years' time, it will be a third bigger, and the challenge will be greater. Circumstances are the previous resolution council have it removed. It's just been a case of getting the arborist, whether we had the spring, we had the idea of trying to do it, but essentially we're working through that.
It is that tree that hangs up over the high walls.
Canopy overhangs the overhead conductors and a number of the small outbuildings on the opposite side of the street.
Any, questions from the public? Yes,
Of course. Thank you for allowing us to ask questions.
name and address.
Oh,
please.
oops. My name is Sharon Newitt and my address on West Coast is 7 Vivian Street, Strawn. In February 2024, the Mayor announced that the 3-storey Union Steamship Company building on the waterfront at Strawn, then valued at $560,000, had been privately sold for $150,000. Actually, I stand corrected. I don't think the Mayor did in fact state the sale price. This $150,000 sale included the contents of the architects of Tasmania plans for the building. They were to convert the building to various different styles of accommodation, and that was commissioned by council, and the purchasers of the building received that. I'm getting to my question. At the time, the disparity between the government valuation and the sale price was justified in part by a leasehold arrangement council had entered into, whereby the middle floor would be made available to the community for a period of 10 years. As the negotiations around the sale and part lease back of the building were conducted in closed council, can the Mayor and Deputy Mayor, both of whom I've spoken to personally on this matter, now clarify when the community's 10-year lease can begin, and also advise what arrangements have been put in place to protect the community should the current owner on sale prior to the leasehold agreement being honoured.
Thank you, Sharon. Well, until that middle section of the building is opened up and renovated, our lease will then start for them for the community to utilise that space. We're still waiting for the proponents to come back when they finish that, but get a bit of work on the outside of the building and start doing some renovations on the and there is a requirement under that original arrangement with the owners that there was a period of time that they had to have that building renovated, ready for occupation. That was a 2-year period, which is getting close. With the option of extension if they required, given the, to make sure that that building was up to the standard that we all accept it should be, especially that middle floor. So we see that space as certainly a space that the community can make use of, given it's the old council chambers, strong council chambers as well. We want to make sure that the strong community gets the most option available to utilise that space.
And just the second part of the question, is there some sort of protection within that leasehold agreement should the building be on sold before we get our 10-year lease?
Yes, there was part of the original agreement with the owners. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Scott Newt, Severview Street. Going back to the Strawn Wharf precinct, and I probably should have brought this up when I wasn't sure if I was allowed to. You've changed out the superintendent, which of the contract, which is that position is unbiased. There's a third party that looks at from the contractor's point of view and the council's point of view. We've nearly delivered a project. Doesn't that put us at risk? And why did we change it out, or was it the principal's representative that we changed out? That's a question. Like from a contractual point of view, having delivered quite a few contracts, we don't tend to change out our superintendent. And doesn't that put the project at risk from variations? Yeah, just wondering why we did that.
The reason the superintendent and principal representative have to change that is because there was a 7 dynamics around construction. It's not promoting delivery of the project. It's not.
Did you say the contract was changed out too?
Principal representative.
Okay, both have changed it. Okay. I just like to find out the fact that it puts the contract at risk as well, doesn't it?
In terms of the changes that have been made, it's been focused on delivering a better outcome for the community. As we're all aware, the project has been dragging for a considerable period of time, and the consistent extension of time has not been helpful for anybody.
Second question. Yep. Okay. Harold Street. I noted that Harold Street was a geotech study happening, but it talked about one-way conversion. Now, from sitting back there back in I think it was 2023 or something, it was moved as a one-way conversion, but they had significant overwhelming public support to keep it two-way, and I thought the geotech investigation was just a geotech investigation on the actual street, not defined as one-way or two-way. And noting the change of council person that will come in, just want to make sure that doesn't get lost. I think there was 15 written submissions, and 14 of those submissions wanted two-way, and one submission didn't because of the noise factor up there. And I just didn't want that to be lost with the change of management.
And I talked about that, and I was very vocal about that at the time. The motion that I moved on that note, on Howard Street, was to have a geotechnical assessment of the entire embankment of Howard Street.
Yes.
And then from that, have that geotechnical report suggest to us what is the best use of Howard Street. Right? Now that hasn't transpired in any way, so we still don't have the geotechnical assessment done.
I thought it was received. No, okay. All I was making a note was the fact that the heading was one-way conversion.
Now that wasn't palatable. That wasn't palatable to the community. We took that on board.
Yeah.
But what we needed to do is not just consider one or another option. We need to know what the stability of that bank is, what needs to be done to shore it up. And if that becomes, it was suggested that maybe it's better off a boardwalk. I don't know. There was
I totally agree with that, but it's just purely that the heading was one-way conversion. I didn't want to. And
absolutely not.
Yeah, no, thank you. Third one, Dick Clark's jetty. Like fenced off for a year. Kids swim there. Emergency services use it as well. Yeah, I think we should fix it. It's not a big fix. We manage port now, so so that's all. Just to see that not being used by the kids. That was all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But on that point, we were, trying to get a mast grant for that ditch jetty, that ditch
Yeah.
Clark's jetty, so we'll follow up where that, grant application went to.
Through you, Chair, could we change our action plan to relay that it doesn't get what it actually says, one-way conversion on the action?
Yeah, that's where the question was coming from, it was one way, if they said one way conversion, I was thinking, oh, change of council personnel? That's what we're looking at.
No, it's a fair point. It definitely wasn't a one-way conversion.
Bob Trestraff, 6 Lynch Street, Strawn. All I want to do is just add a little bit to all your conversation in relation to the waterfront. I agree what Scott's saying. You've got to finish the contract because the consequence of cost will probably be greater than rushing. You know, and that's the thing I was saying about all the projects. Don't rush them. Make sure you got it right first. Right? I want it to happen, but I want it to happen right. So I agree with Scott. You've got to do that. But in the meantime, they can still start getting everything prepared. You can do all your drawings. You can do everything you need to do and still bring it to your next meeting. And as soon as they're finished, you can chop. But I agree, if you don't finish it, you've got all sorts of liability issues that could occur. And poor Scott will be left with this thing that's not finished and he's got to try and work out how he does it. Brings in another contract and boom, up it goes, no more cost. Okay, so I just wanted to say, we want it done, but we want it done right. We don't want to rush. Right, and I know what you're saying, you're conscious that where people were in outrage at the meeting and people were really, they wanted to go, they've got to understand, the people have got to understand, and we'll tell the people, if you don't do it right, you're wasting your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Item 5 is, public questions without names. That was it. Item 6 is petitions. Got any petition? Item 7 is councillors' questions on notice. So we have question on notice from councillor Lang.
Why has the Strawn gym been left with minimum equipment when clearly there was to be equipment for the gym? This is a health and wellbeing issue, and why is the health and wellbeing officer not been flying the flag for community to have the equipment installed? There is more than enough equipment in other gyms that could be shared around the West Coast. I can only state, are we as a council setting our community up for failure? This lack of gym equipment has impacted the community. Why should we place an outdated consideration of donated equipment when the funding supplied was to include the equipment for Strawn gym? Please explain from a resident who is a sports psychologist.
I think I might need to have an update to where we're at.
There is a response in the agenda anyway.
So there's all equipment missing and they will be arriving next week. The Strawn Gym Club. And for the Goonstone Fitness Club, my project manager is in the process of engaging a contractor who will be maintaining all the council's gym in they will maintain them and replace the faulty equipment.
Thank you, Darren.
Okay, councillor,
Before we move on, sorry, but wasn't there an undertaking from the fishing, the salmon industry to fund the equipment in that?
Through you, Chair, that was a conversation between their CEO and myself, Mayor, and unfortunately he's left, and you can't keep going on and on and on. You need to let it go and get on with it and get gym equipment for our residents to use.
so there's only 2 items that,
Respectfully, councillor.
there's only 2 items that aren't in the gym at the moment, which are on their way.
They are arriving from Tuesday, so maybe they are at the Devonport.
Aaron, really, you've done a great job, thank you.
But we will continue to pursue the salmonid industry with regard to equipment. There may be some other equipment they can supply. They did offer, the last CEO did offer to supply some equipment for that gym.
And through the chair should.
All we needed to do was, write to him and ask for that. I don't believe that that was done at the time, so we'll work through that now. Make sure that the letter goes off to the Salmon industry because they are a major employer in our community and they should be made feel welcome that they're part of our community as well.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Councillor Ivaniki has a question on those.
Yes, what communication has council undertaken with the state government regarding the closure of the Fossey River public toilets? Including whether council has received any formal advice or plans outlining replacement facilities, proposed number of toilets and amenities to be provided. And given that council has been seeking this information for approximately 3 years without response, what further actions will council take to obtain clarity?
Okay, yes, councillor, well, we have on numerous occasions written to the Department of State Growth with regard to this after the plans that were shown some, as you mentioned there, 3 years ago, that weren't adequate with only one toilet facility being made available at that time. So they went away to redesign that. We haven't seen any designs come back, but I noticed that they are starting construction on the new site, which, you know, admittedly that's not in our municipality. So it probably has gone to Wynyard or Tarwini municipality for approval, etc. So it is disappointing that they have not come back to us, given that we were the ones that were pushing. And if we hadn't pushed to get a change in that design.
And through you, Mayor, I'm not confident that the design will have changed. From memory, it was 2 toilets, and we said no, we need to have at least four toilets then. But I mean, to see something pop up on Facebook on Friday afternoon that bam, we're closing them in a week. I mean, everybody was excited because we all want to bulldoze them, but you know that we've been asking for 3 years, you know, what's happening, knowing that those are one of the key pieces of infrastructure that people use coming to from the West Coast.
And you remember at the time we asked for some temporary toilets we put up at the finger post at the intersection there for people. And I'm not sure whether that's going to eventuate either.
I remember from those last discussions from the state growth engineers that 3 years ago, I think it was until they argued that they would direct people to both West Coast and Waratah Wynyard toilets into Waratah. That's what they said to us. And the fact that our toilets at the time were closed at 5 o'clock would be a major constraint for that. We could certainly inform them that we now have a system where people can open them at any hour of the day. And secondly, can we write to Waratah Wynyard and ask if they have received any plans? And could we get a copy of said plans?
We must be, through you, Mayor, we must be advocates in this space. It's so important to so many people travelling to the West Coast. We make that very clear to State Growth. We need to make it very clear again.
Those engineers had never seen the site, and they didn't even know that there was a row of myrtles that you can't even see past. They knew nothing about the site.
And through you, Chair, that last meeting, I just believe from memory that they went away and would this road, and I'm not sure why.
Oh, I guess it was the fact that we asked them to go away and redesign the toilets, given that the amount of toilets that they were offering wasn't sustainable for the amount of people that use their toilets.
Or the design.
Well, it was more of a truck stop for individual truck drivers rather than community people.
Increasing capacity.
Space.
The next up route is
7,000 potentially. There was parking spaces mainly for trucks, but they didn't suggest that they would move RVs on if they parked them. But there was only about 7 parking spots.
Okay, so we'll follow up with Wynyard Waratah to see whether they've got any plans and toilets.
And through you, Chair, they did mention a truck stop, or an area for the truck stops.
That's what it's called a truck stop.
Yeah.
So that's all it was gonna be, but we said, no, it needs to be, it's not just a truck stop, it's where a lot of people travelling to the West Coast use their facilities. And that's why we asked for more toilets.
It was funded through the National Heavy Vehicle Fatigue Management Program.
Yes.
Yeah.
That, is it, yeah, thank you.
Okay. Question, councillor Nicky, another question on those.
Yes, is council aware that despite assurances from the Minister for Health that no services will be lost at the West Coast District Hospital following the contracting of a different pathology provider, the below listed services are no longer available. INR point of care testing, ISTAT machine, haematology analyzer, ESR counter. So my question was, what actions has council taken or will take to advocate to the Minister for Health and the Tasmanian Health Service for the reinstatement of these essential diagnostic services?
So there has been a response to that. Anyone has further discussion on that? General Manager?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. In council's correspondence, certainly was not aware that.
And I thought it was important to put it as a question on notice for everybody to be aware.
Especially when they go to the taking that they really do. And furthermore, people may not know, but B12 has been removed from the PBS, so you now have to pay $45 to have vitamin B12. That's testing your blood tests, and anyone that has a full blood group has vitamin B12. Look at it, just the other day, it's a discount. So I immediately emailed the senior manager up there, and yeah, they came back and said, sorry, it was removed from the PBS just before Christmas. So all Australians now have to pay vitamin B12, which is just absolutely ridiculous. This is the federal government school, it's all
Okay, another question on roads.
And my last question on notice, is council aware that numerous pieces of equipment at the Queenstown Gym continue to remain in disrepair? Despite a report on gym equipment being tabled at a recent council meeting, it appears that there is little to no progress being made to ensure equipment is available and in working order for West Coast Gym Melbourne. What are the reasons for the ongoing delays in completing these repairs? What is the current status and expected timeframe for all outstanding works? And will council consider providing gym users with a fee reduction, refund or formal apology in recognition of the prolonged disruption and reduced service availability? No, the response.
There is a response. Any other discussion on that? No?
Just that it has been a very long time, we're talking about years, that this equipment has been in disrepair.
Thank you, councillor. Okay, no other questions on those. Is there any questions without those, councillor McKay?
Thanks, Mayor. I just want to follow up on a previous question that I had in contacting Westpac regarding their regional branch moratorium and the pilot of a new regional community banking service. Have we followed up on that, and has any correspondence been sent?
Mr Mayor, there hasn't been any formal correspondence, but there has been some preliminary contact made.
Please, it's a big pitfall in our community not having a bank at all on the West Coast.
And we are still talking, still trying to organise a meeting with the Bank of Us. There was some preliminary dates put forward, but they didn't co-align with the CEO of the Bank of Us. So we continue to try and get some dates that align with him.
I see the Westpac as being a great option. They've moved into Smithton. Why wouldn't they want to move to the West Coast?
Exactly.
But even further than that, we shouldn't, there's a lot more councils getting on board now saying that, pushing for that Royal Commission into the banking, or rather the amendments to the Royal Commission, because, Wagga today, they're making a motion to try and put some more pressure to have that Royal Commission, because the banking, the big four are the only ones that outcome of the Royal Commission advice board. So the smaller banks can slip under the radar and they can close their doors and they don't have the same service agreement obligations as the big four, even though the big four aren't here. They've already made their departures. But I think as a group of a rather large group of representatives of the community, we shouldn't be taking the full of the freight. We should be continuing the rights of the Federal Local Government Association, put pressure on them to get that changed. They really are valuable services to our community.
Yeah, they are, and I guess that's one thing we did, move a motion before the closure of the Bendigo Bank, on that same point, to the federal government, and also, wrote to the Prime Minister around that. I guess,
Could we write to the President of the Australian Local Government Association, does it best support?
well, yes, and I think we probably should, and, we did discuss whether we put a motion on the Legates table for the next general meeting around,
Didn't they have one in November? Did they? Wasn't there a motion put in November, did they? Or December, sorry?
I think it was, we were talking about doing it, but we
We were too late.
We were too late.
Too
We said
late
we'd
to
do
put
it
the
for
motion on the
the
table.
next general meeting. So we'll, take that on notice and get that, so, action. Okay, councillor Kay.
Thank you. Whilst I will welcome all the 24-hour access to the toilets, it's been wonderful for community, there is an unintended consequence from this, and it's coming from the RV travellers. Because they've got that access, they are parking at the spaces near our toilets. So when we start our RV strategy, I would like that to be included as a piece of work within the strategy as well, please. There was 4 this morning at the wharf.
Do we need to put some signage up?
There is signage that says no camping.
No, is it? Yeah, okay, right.
But it is something, if we're going to get those 7,000 more coming to the region, this is the intention of my question previously with that RV strategy. The pressure that will put onto our assets is the strategy piece.
So, without we spending time and waste waiting for signs, we should have our own sign off and shelter here in front of the restaurants.
And traffic control.
Thank you, councillor. Questions, any other questions on that? Without that, sorry. Okay, we have item 9 is motions on those. We have a motion there from councillor.
To investigate the follow-up with road repairs at the campground in Trial Harbour. The background, I visited the site New Year's Eve and many residents were in the area celebrating the most magnificent scenery I've had the pleasure to see, with many members of the public, also visitors from the mainland. Rationale, many visitors and residents are being put at risk due to the collapse of the road and erosional problems associated with coastal roads to and from the camping area. Could we fund a project soon to ensure safety for road users? I also visited the area and spoke with some locals on several issues that we as councillors can assist with under section 28 of the Local Government Act 1993. For your consideration, councillors.
Okay, councillors.
And remember, it's to investigate follow-up road repairs.
Can I just ask a question before we move that? I couldn't find the supporting documents.
They weren't. You could go online on council.
What is,
Well, you just look it up. That's
what do I look up? Traffic management, right?
So, yeah, it's coastal, so it's Parks and Wildlife and council chair. Sorry. I didn't provide them because they were huge, really huge. And the Crown Land Act is just, yeah, you just look it up.
But what am I looking up? That's what I'm asking.
Because it's coastal, it comes under Parks and Wildlife, but because the area was managed under West Coast Council, no?
No, Parks and Wildlife manage that area.
Do they?
Yeah.
And we just grade the road.
No, we only grade the road going into the town, the community.
Sorry, it's my mistake, but could we write a letter then? Could I change my motion? Well, no, I won't. I'll still investigate
Yes,
and follow up with road repairs.
that's
Thank you,
fine,
Chair.
that's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
What you've got written there is fine, because it will,
Yeah.
start some dialogue with what we do. Yes.
Thank you. Sorry. I'm sorry I didn't provide all the information, but I presumed everyone knew where to go.
So we've got a second for that motion, please.
Sorry, what is the motion?
The motion is that the West Coast Council investigate and follow up with road repairs at Camp Brown in Trial Harbour.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Lindsay. Councillor Newman.
Then I,
Open discussion, councillor. I'll just open up to say that, as we just mentioned, it is Parks and Wildlife owned tenure, but certainly we can advocate with Parks and Wildlife to do some maintenance on that road. We do it quite often, advocate for them to look after their own tenure, but, you know, I think it's relevant that we do. It is in a bit of a bad state, that road. Totally agree. We can write to Parks and Wildlife and ask them to undertake some repairs on that road.
Through you, Chair, great save.
Mayor, I remember perhaps 3 years ago, well, it might have been 5 years ago, now we had a large consultation with the community to try and know the community. Remember, we were going to seal
Yes.
the road right through because there was a lot of dusting plants, and one of the things they emphatically came back with and said they do not want their road sealed. That's the last thing. And we got that horribly wrong, and we obviously haven't sealed at all. But interesting, isn't it? On one end, they want something done, and a permanent solution is not back.
Through you, Chair, that corner protects that little area. It's a terrible corner.
That erosion is bad, Councillor, I agree 100%. It is getting borderline dangerous.
But this is down where the,
Yeah, I know, the council is getting, I know.
and they've got 4 drives, but I think we need a tent to be able to get to the campground. So, sorry, I just,
It takes some repair.
no,
Sure, our property.
It's only, little on files in under.
yeah, just to make it bearable.
Okay, any other discussions, councillors? For or against the motion? We'll put the motion to vote. All those in favour? Against? All in favour? Thank you, councillors. Item 10 is motions without notice. Any motion without notice, councillor? Motion without notice. Item 11 is mayor and councillors' diary, name reports. Diaries. Change there.
Through you, Mayor, there's just a small error on mine. On 4/12, I did not attend the shared audit panel meeting. I had put down that I had attended the Unconformity open house that I had. Happy to send that along again to Eugene for correction. Thank you.
Okay, any other discussions on the councillors' mayor's diaries? No? Good moving in. And give some donations. Item 13 is council workshops. So we had council workshop today, listed there. Agenda items.
We'd have to.
Except for we have to take money matters out if they didn't turn up to the workshop, which was the literacy project. Item 14 is open correspondence for noting. For noting there, correspondence out for noting.
And on.
Yes.
The Premier's letter regarding the mobile rescue service, it's commended that they have offered funding to allow them to travel down there on the government's expense, but it's still a massive inconvenience for families to have to travel in there. Given that there's got to be a breast screening unit sitting around doing nothing if there's a vehicle that's out of action. Didn't we write to the Premier Mayor and ask if there could be a temporary unit put somewhere at the hospital or something, whilst they get that vehicle up to speed. That's a really valuable service to the state. That's a big inconvenience for people having to go into Hobart or Launceston or Devonport just to get screened. There's obviously a unit sitting there doing nothing somewhere if they're renovating a vehicle. They're not that terribly expensive, surely you could have a temporary one put in, you know, or you're at the hospital facility or one of the local clinics. It'll be right to even ask the question, if one could be mounted on a temporary basis until the vehicle gets in place.
Well, even if it's the vehicle.
Sorry?
Even if it's the vehicle that's out of action, surely you could be fighting.
So I understand they need to do something with the vehicle or get rid of that vehicle and rebuild a new one, but obviously there's a breast screening unit sitting somewhere that can be used, you know, whilst they get their vehicle up to speed.
Through you, Mayor, I actually spoke to them and it is earmarked for March or April that vehicle will be back on the road.
So they've expedited their 18 months timeline initially, 18 months to get the vehicle up to speed.
So it's also the only place where you can get breast screening done at the moment is Hobart. That is the only place.
There's still two vehicles.
One. And
Well, there was three
they've got
across
the
the
new
state,
one.
two, and the two, they said that the schedule that those vehicles currently have, it could not possibly fit a short-term visit to the West Coast because they simply don't have one, which is bewilders me.
Can I also, to add another layer on page 31 of the Premier's, what we've done, you will notice that they're actually installing new permanent breast screening in Glenorchy and Trimark.
There you go.
Permanent, so not visiting, but permanent.
That's where they've gone from the buses
So-
council.
Yeah,
Yeah, they took it out of the bus and stuck it in the door.
I would have to, continue to argue the point with them that, the temporary location on the west coast is not good enough. They can put one in Tribunna,
Yeah.
they can sure as heck put one on the west coast. And if I was, I've certainly reached out to Circular Head, because they've got that same kind of tyranny of distance as well. They're expected to go to Devonport now. And putting some pressure on it, but I'd like to know what Tribunna did, how they advocated to get that, if they even put their hand up for it. How did that?
You
how
put
did
her in
that happen?
Tribunna.
Well, I did have a look at their LGA profile and it's, a few more than us, but, they have a more rapidly aging population. So this is primarily women over, I think it's 45, is usually the breast screen audience. So they've got a few more people on us there, but still, how did that,
I would be surprised if they do.
how did Tribunna come about and not somewhere like Swansea, which has a much higher proportion of older residents?
Tribunna might have
I think they've got
space, facilities.
A building, yeah.
But I would argue with,
Yeah,
We've
well,
got
we've got the
space.
facilities too. And certainly, open to write to the Premier again or the Minister of Health.
there is a survey out that I got through Women's Health TAS about, that we could all do, basically saying, would you use Glenorchy or Tribunna? If so, why not? And I thought about sending in 100 responses and saying, no, I wouldn't, because I think from the
West Coast,
not helpful.
the 172 is not working.
But I guess just really, further to what everybody said, really keeping the pressure on this, because this is people's lives that we're talking about, and people have lots of reasons why they cancel their regular doctor's appointment. This is not going to be a priority if we continue to put barriers in the way.
Yes, council, so, note that and write to the Minister of Health and the CC and the Premier regarding permanent, breast screening.
For a temporary one, whilst they get it up, the permanent one would be better, absolutely.
Well, if we've got a permanent one there, then they don't need to travel down. Okay, thank you, councillor. Item 15 is council's decision status and action item, this which is on page 78. Agenda. Any discussions on any of that, councillors?
Through you, Chair, just again, the Harold Street one-way conversion, we could change it to
Yeah, it does say some way conversion, correct?
So through you, Mayor, I'd really like to take this action, open meeting actions to a workshop again. We did take it to one, but it was at the end of the workshop and we whizzed through it in 2.5 seconds because we had other items. I'd really like to take this so we get a bit of a strategy together, put some of these to bed and get some solutions moving forward.
Certainly, yes. I guess it's, a lot of it is to, with the availability of staff to be able to work through these actions as well. I guess that issue at the moment, but that's been rectified.
And the smoke-free CBDs, could we take the first step, and that is to advertise our intent, which is step number one. Do that with limited resource allocation from the council, and that then we can get public comment on our intent to do so. That's step number one, and then we've got to do step number two, which is again advertise the comments and favourites. It doesn't take a real lot of resource allocation to take the first step.
Any other discussions on that? Item 16 is organisation reports with noting, cancel that final reports. Grab and change. Recommendation for the notice report, council notice report, provide an update on activities of growth and change area. Any discussion on that, councillors? Which is around the financially prime grants. We've got page 90 with the operational organisational report, organisation performance. Recommendations of council note the following report highlighting information in relation to organisational performance department.
Can I, sorry, we're taking a step of government organisation. I was going to ask, sorry, back in the growth and change.
Yes.
I'll remember again. Is there an opportunity for us to put some pressure on the regional strategic, Western Regional Strategic Partnership, so-called organisation, to take some of that $3 million and put it into a designated domestic violence house on the West Coast? Could we write to them and put some pressure on them to perhaps I don't believe we have a designated facility, and it's normally just a house.
Yeah.
That we can take families out of the situation and sort them. I think that would be a great use of some of that $3 million. We could put something on the ground for probably $450,000, probably less if we get the right buildings. Would that be something that we might be able to get the Western Strategic Regional Partnership off there? We can ask to spend some of that money.
Certainly, that's right. And like this, it's the thing we don't want to lose though is government agencies need these accommodation for their nurses, and as we've spoken in previous council meetings, we've taken it back to them around trying to push the health department to get, they've got inadequate housing now for the nurses here at the hospital, and that's the reason why they can't attract permanent nursing. They've given us an undertaking that we're going to look at that. Only word.
What would embarrass them into spending is spend something. We have
Given that they've got some land available, the the units they've got on the corner of Peters and Cutter Street, it's an ideal opportunity for them to start some builds there, and I think that's one thing that, we talked to the director of hospital, and she was gonna take that further on her side of the Department of Health, of course. But yes, certainly, if we can, if there's, money that can be made available for a premises like that, I think we should
Can
be
I
able to.
just say that my other profession on that one, while it's a good idea, there are many layers to establishing it. So it's opening up conversations with lots of different kinds of service providers. I do think we need to keep the pressure on for the essential workers. They need better accommodation. They're never going to stay. We give them just such poor accommodation. And we're talking about upgrades here. You know, a modern bathroom, a carport where you can walk from your car to your house without getting wet. I mean, it really is, you know, these are the simple things that they can do now, and they're just not. They're just important.
But I mean, if we build it, then all of the complexities around it can be started to be unfolded. But we just got to start something now. But all this money sitting in this, in rain and stone with flood, hanging to go nowhere. It's really starting to piss me off.
Thank you, councillor. So continue on, we've got, noting report from planning compliance. Also, any discussions on that, councillors? It's on page 96, starts. Also got a note and report from the West Coast Visitor Information Centre. Page 102. Recommendation of the council note the following report highlighting information in relation to the West Coast Visitor Information Centre. Any discussions on that, councillors?
The door count doesn't seem terribly much lower than what it does when they were down, but is it? It's not, it hasn't been major. I mean, obviously they've got a major impact, but they're still getting numbers through their door.
So you're going to read the report, it was noted that there's actually no visitor numbers and spending in the main street areas. People are going there.
Yep.
A lot of the visitor centre and the practice, the car parking are all now.
It's good.
It's also good to hear that we've started doing temporary locations, working on
Okay, next one is the noting is operation infrastructure update. Council note the following report. Any discussions on that, councillors?
Just a comment on, we did go to People's Park in January, and we noticed that while it was closed, towards the, in November, some of the trees that actually came down with fairly substantial trees, so it was a fair effort to actually clear that and see what was closed, but safety.
through you, Mayor, on the abatement side, noted of late, and we got quite a few abatements done. Also, we've created some worse work portions, and Scott was very pushy on that particular subject, and I know there's groupings there, and I've seen their work, and I'm very pleased that we've gone down that pathway. It's employing young people, which I think is extremely important in the scheme of things. And these were young kids that were falling through the cracks. I think it's a win-win for the council and win-win for our youth.
Thanks, councillor. It's great to highlight that. Great outcome. I just look at the amount of work that's been done around the Gorsham movement, around that zone area. It's incredible. It's a great outcome. Given that's one of our biggest issues around that zone areas, of course. Okay. Next is noting. So on page 125 is the quarterly communications report. Council note the following report. Any discussions on that, councillors?
other than it's always a pleasure to read it.
Yes.
Yeah. It's very useful, thank you.
Now, I think the webpage started to show some signs as well, it's great.
That's us.
Sorry?
That's us, the council is using.
You keep trying to find documents.
No other discussions on that, council, we'll go to the next item, which is on page 137, the noting, so also another report. Recommendation council note the following report around the abatement program update. And we'll talk a little bit about that now. Is there any other discussion on that?
Through you, Matt.
Yes.
Not so much the abatement, but we seem to have dropped the functionality of committees of council, and especially the one that I'd like to see reinstated is the Emergency Management Committee. I think it's, we've lost where that was going and the members, so I'd like to see that one reinstated.
Well, that's not.
Changed, isn't it?
No, that's there, and the reports will come out when we have the meetings.
When was your last meeting?
It was supposed to be in December, but it wasn't, it didn't eventuate in December because, the Legat conference was on the same day, so we postponed it back.
I'm keeping an eye on. So when's your next meeting?
Through the chair. So what, at that, meeting was when we're going to set the meetings for, this year. Just so happened today, I wrote in my notebook emergency management meetings. So they'll be probably, I'd say, near the end of February. It's always difficult to have one during fire season. And then we generally have 3 years. But we've got to try and work in with everybody, all the other committees, because we get supported by all of the other agencies. And so, yeah, it's like herd the cats, trying to get everybody together.
Oh, we certainly still have the.
Yep.
Okay. Councillor Hay and Councillor Butterfield will be silver on that committee. Okay, any other discussions on the abatement?
Yes, just, it says here that we, council, have identified 8 parcels of council land, and that we're about 13 deep. Abatements are such a hot topic, we see them on Facebook, people get very upset and they can take their notices. And, I'm just wondering how best we can communicate that we are doing our part in taking care of our own abatements. I think, it would be really good to let people know that we're working towards, staying on top of our properties here, just like everybody else. We've got issues with the weather, equipment that breaks. But still, I think people just need to have some confidence that we're not just sending abatements, but that, we're actively actioning our own properties as well.
Good questions to me. Then intensity of work that we're doing is quite significant. That infestation, of course, we've already started the conversation in relation to how we follow up, so I think it gets back to that standard. But that's a substantial investment. It's a lot of machine launching it down. I want to get back to there.
And I do think those, some of those images I would definitely consider sharing to show, that this isn't an idle with the centre. We've got the heavy machinery out there and we're on board.
And the last visit through Mr. Mayor too, so it's noticeable this difference that's happening in the presentation.
How much of that land would be on this council property or NRL as well?
It's a combination. We've been primarily focused in our reserves where we manage. There has been some partnership with NRE. There's also been some partnerships in relation to so machines more or less working for him as pay, working across the different protocols when we actually calculate the mapping that was done, which was shared initially on the report, is where we focused. Still other areas outside that, but you can see that we've inspected 4,701 properties. That's a massive change. So probably there's 3 outstanding, but they're at moment heads. A little bit odd to get to. And then out of that, there was 614 notices that have been issued. And there's been various responses to that. Multiple people have responded constructively, and then others have proven quite difficult to get to.
Through you, Chair, could I just comment on Gorse? Was it possible to say something to Parks or NRE or write a letter? The Gorse has actually come into Straw. There's one plant in Straw. We've got rid of it. But it's only a kilometre outside of Straw, and we're on the edge of the World Heritage Area, and someone needs to address it before it actually is spreading.
That has been addressed on numerous occasions, parts of Wildlife and NRE. And they are part of the Queens Management Group as well. And we did ask for some funding from them as well, to go towards Gorse removal. The comment was that Gorse is bigger than the funding they've got. It's not an ideal answer, we know that, but we'll certainly write to them again around, they've always been I guess one of our main concerns is Gorse getting closer to the World Heritage Area. That's one of the pinpoints that we always take to them is the NRE that gets into that World Heritage Area.
There was 2 plants down mixed stations last night, Eagle Street, and Guinness went spray with killing. Yeah, that's how far they're in.
There was 4 in Ocean Beach, not on common then, but through you, Chair, they need to, when it does become an issue. So
And
we
the
probably,
rangers in Strawn should be involved in that straight away, but yeah, certainly we'll write to the secretary, because I think it's no use going any lower on that, because they don't seem to have action anything. Thank you.
I recall we wrote to the then Minister for State Growth, Mr Ferguson, about, seeking some support for the noxious weeds on the main road corridor between, on the Murchison Highway, and he wrote back and said, that I quote, we don't believe we have a noxious weed problem on our road corridor. Well, this is not that long ago, this is only 4 years ago. So basically, go away.
Couple of those photos and see and tell us.
Yeah.
Mr Ferguson did spend much time in
And just in terms of the comms, it was planned, Christine, we're going to get something out following this meeting, now this report's gone up around what we are doing locally, because there's still a lot of confusion around public land and what is council land. I see a bit of vacant land and it must be councils. Often it's not.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on, page 144 is item 17, report sale of properties to recover unpaid rates. The recommendation is council supports the sale of 3A Harvey Street, Queenstown, 4 Cutler Street, Queenstown, 4/31 Gilmania Street, Rosebery, 5 Clement Street, Rosebery, 8 Gillibrand Street, Zeehan, Lot 16A, Severn Street, Zeehan, and Zeehan, in accordance with Section 137 of the Local Government Act 1993. Okay, all the details, etc. are there. So, would someone like to move that way? Move Councillor Graham, second Councillor Newman. Okay, discussions, councillors. Any discussions?
So this will put it up for its first public advertising and instead of going on the second one.
Through Mayor, no, these have all been advertised. This lot are now going to be going to auction. We're hoping by sometime in February, near the end of February. So these have been through the process. Nobody's come forward to pay the rates. So we now move on to the second one. And there's an attachment that's in the closed section that says who the owners are and the amounts. And if you noted on there, there are a lot of estates. So no one's ever going to come forward. So.
Okay, no other questions or discussion, council, we'll put that one to vote, all those in favour? Against? All in favour, thank you. Item 18, I'll excuse myself from the meeting and ask the Mayor to take over the meeting.
Item 18,
Just vote for them.
Item 1826 is the lease renewal for the Queenstown Lions Club, Queenstown, for the recreation reserve. The recommendation is that council renew the lease with the Queenstown Lions Club for the Queenstown Recreation Ground for a further 5 years. Background, the Queenstown Lions Club currently leases the Queenstown Recreation Ground, and they currently charge annual water and electricity charge. These funds are rejected. Lease is expired, bid to be renewed. The recommendation is that council renew the lease with the Queenstown Lions Club. Recreation Ground for a further 5 years.
Well, we've got it. I'll second it.
Any discussion on that?
The only thing is, through you, this is expanding the 5 year instead of yearly, just a.
Yeah, through the event. The existing lease that's in place was for 5 years.
Right.
And under the Local Government Act, because of public land, you can't get to a lease longer than 5 years, or you have to go out to public consultation, etc. So it's basically come to an end. There's no rollover for another 5 years. So in another 5 years, look at that.
No.
No, I don't know.
Since this is an open session, I would have liked to have seen a little more transparency around this, as in the lease is up. Are there any other communal organisations that are interested? The Lions may be the only ones that come forward, but I don't think we should assume that this might not be something that another organisation or an organisation that might want to pair with the Lions. I just think, I've gotten a couple of black eyes lately over not being transparent. I think the transparency is really vital to this decision.
Yeah. One thing I will say is that was a pretty derelict building when it was first entered. It was a mess, and
No, this is
Just the ground,
the footy ground, sorry, yeah.
the RV overnight parking.
Through your deputy mayor, council could consider this out for the special interest and leave this report on the table if that wish.
I would advocate for that in full transparency, then nobody can say that this was unlawful to one organisation, though I strongly suspect that the Queenstown Lions Club will be the ones that put their hands up. And a little more context too would be nice, and I know that the Lions Club do good works from just a little context around, well, we average about this much and we use it to fund this, that and the other. I think that would make me feel really comfortable saying, yes, I feel comfortable.
Initially, it was offered to Crows,
That's right.
and they said, no.
And I'm
Hence,
not
that's
confident that there are other organisations willing to do this, but I don't think we should assume that there are.
Through you, Chair, I'd have to agree with Vicky that it's, transparency is what we've got to do, and an ELI is just going to make it that way. I'm in complete agreement.
I would love to see a couple of different, ELIs come through with a strong case. We want to do this because we see this as the community benefit. This is how we give back to. I feel really comfortable then being able to say, yeah, that works for me.
Motion's in your account, mate.
I'm quite happy with it.
So can I just say something? If we're going to go down the expression of interest, it will take time. This lease has expired. You can always renew it for 6 months, or you then have a look at the scenario. I'm just worried about having expired leases in place. Because 1 month to do an expression of interest will seem like you're just going through the motions. And also, again, as part of it would be, my thoughts are to perhaps ask the Lions Club to talk about that stuff, which we haven't done yet.
Yeah, I think I'd love to see some, I don't know what other councils feel, but it'd be great to see what the Lions have been able to do with those funds.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, I thank the Queenstown Lions Club and obviously understand exactly their contribution to community is outstanding. but just a little bit more data in the decision making will assist me.
Can I give you a bit of background how it came about in the first place? We, got a touch up from the economic regulator, the playing around in the RV parking, well, realm. And all we were doing was trying to make a space available, which they were using in the first place. We offered the management to the Crows thinking that they could get a few extra dollars out of it, and they basically said, bugger off, it's working, don't do that. And then we went to the community and the Lions Club were the only one that came forward. Now that they realise there's a few dollars in it, maybe there are other people that might say, oh gee, that might be worth their while. But the Lions Club has certainly took it on from day one, managed it pretty well, people like to see, so I'm pretty happy to continue the donation into the 25 years.
Yeah, I guess just for, as a member of the Lions Club, or the Lions, you know, the money that the Lions raise through their different activities does go back to the community, it doesn't go back to support the Lions Club itself, et cetera. It goes back to the community. A lot of what the Lions do, they do quietly and on the scene. That's where most of those funds go back.
Yeah, and it's not a reflection at all on the Lions Club. If this was a different club, I would still be saying the same thing. You know, it started out because nobody else wanted to take it on, but we shouldn't assume 5 years later that there might not be somebody who's out there. So I would ask whoever not seconded, so moved and seconded, maybe to reconsider along the lines of an extension while the expression of interest is put out. I'm going to do that.
Oh, I support it. I think it's a slap in the face to the Lions Club. If you believe that you change the motion, I'll fit it.
Well, I can see from around the table, there's,
I'm happy with that.
all right, I'll,
What period?
12 months.
Yep, 12 months.
12 months. The intention of putting it out and expression of interest.
I'll see.
So the motion, if I'm right, is that council continue to lease for the Queenstown Lions Club for the Queenstown Recreation Ground 12 months, and in that 12 months, source submissions of interest regards taking it.
Seeking expressions of interest for management of that side.
Okay. So we've all heard the change recommendations. All those in favour? Yes.
Item 19 is lease renewal Queenstown Crows Football Club Incorporated with facilities of Queenstown Recreation Reserve. Recommendation is council renew the lease with Queenstown Crows Football Club Incorporated for the Queenstown Recreation Ground facilities for a further 5 years. Would someone like to remove the motion, please? The recommendation, sorry. Brian moved it. Okay, seconder. Councillor Butterfield, open for discussions, please. Discussions on the matter?
How have they gone keeping the maintenance up to the building?
Last of the national.
Shall we say with maintenance progress, but it's been
hearing that again. You can't have a fully covered for doing that, but they're not doing themselves any favours, are they?
Through you, Mayor, flip that coin though, we have a gravel oval with grass in it. So are we doing any favours for the, football club?
Heritage District, very well.
Through you, Chair, I've been keeping up the maintenance on actual ovals.
Through Mr Mayor, this is the time of the year that we start to do the maintenance ready for the next season. Particularly with the big conversations about prepping. We don't want to do it through the summer period when the last game on the cover from the prep from the knowledge. That's October, so November, December, January, we start to do work February ready for season. So respectfully, it's slightly different to a grass over where you're gonna mow it all the time. The one essentially gets worked up for it. So.
Any other discussions, councillors?
Through Mr Mayor, in terms of the concerns around maintenance, building assets register is currently being worked on. But if you request some further update in relation to the building itself, certainly have to take notice and action.
This is part of this day.
Before it's on the list, might be worthwhile going for. That's if the council considers.
I'm gonna amend the motion, Gordon.
Sorry?
You want to amend the motion accordingly, with pending an assessment of the maintenance of the building? Is that okay?
Robert, you happy to amend that motion of the recommendations, councillor, near the lease with the closed pub rooms for 5 years after a assessment, building assessment.
Just on that point, through you, Mayor, we got to do an asset tour of Queenstown, we've got one in Rosebery and Tulloch, haven't we, or?
Well, we've been trying to organise a date for that, we haven't been able to come to a resolution with council, it's still got a good date, so yeah, pushing it out further, I guess.
Right, but we will have one of those, it's one of our assets,
Brilliant to me. One of the workshops that you have in Queenstown, during the year, you tidy off.
And it looks like we'll have to push it out to up to March for the next one, because availability of large councils. It doesn't lend itself to be able to try and get everyone on their tour, or as many as possible. It's brought in.
And then just, I will catch up with you at a later date, some of these, just a couple of issues regarding that building.
Okay, so happy with that, you're happy?
Yes.
So we'll put that to a vote, all those in favour? Against? Carried. Item one, page 193 is item 20, which is sustainable timbers lease report. Recommendation is council approve the signing and sealing of a lease with Sustainable Timbers for the property located at Over Street, Strawn, for a period of 5 years. Someone like to move that way, please, councillors. Move councillor Jordan, second councillor Ivey. Over the discussions, councillors.
Through you, Mayor, I just ask with this one with item 12, which is the leasee's public risk insurance. This one's only 10 million, but all the other are 20 million.
Yeah, I mean, the insurance can be 10 or 20, I'm sure they've probably got 20 being governed.
I would certainly expect it would be 20.
Yeah.
Should that be written in?
State government normally self-insured, they don't have insurance companies, they self-insure, as does the federal government. So, doesn't matter whether it's Tim or Twitter, they're underwriting themselves.
Any other discussions, councillors? Put that to a vote. All those in favour? Against? All carried. Item 21 we've dealt with. Item 22, which is on page 355. 20 is the financial report as of 31st December 2025. Recommendation is that council receives and acknowledges the financial report as at the 30th of December 2025. Someone like to move that way, please, councillors, for discussion? Move councillor Ivan, second councillor Graham. Open discussion, councillor.
Pretty now, just got one question on the current liabilities. The explanation there, we're above budget on the provisions. And it's got current employee provisions for annual leave, personal leave and long service leave make up 900,000 of this balance. Is that true and correct that we're 900,000 in leave?
Through Mr. Mayor, that's what's written, that's correct. If you look in the investment, you can see one of our investments is now for our long service leave provision. And long service leave alone is $440,000 in provision. That's what happens is your provisions will get adjusted at the end of the year. So that would have been at the start of the year. If people are taking leave, we will recalibrate at the end of the year, and then our provisions start again. You generally don't adjust your provisions through the year for leave.
That's a lot to carry. Is the organisation moving to
Address that.
Address that. Certainly are, and we've been
Mr. Mayor, certainly.
And then when you divide that number by the amount of employees, it's not that much good.
still lower.
It's a lot of money.
Lot of long service leave.
Divided by the employees.
General manager certainly I'm aware of and taken on, and this director is certainly working through that space.
So Mayor, sorry, there's no variance in the budget to the forecast for our rates and charges, so that we're doing pretty well. The rates are coming in as expected.
Okay, yeah, so what happens with the rates is you forecast to get the whole lot early, and then it's basically as it gets paid off, something that's a liability. And yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, we're getting better with our practices around instalments and getting people on payment plans that where instalments don't work. And I think in terms of with sale of properties with long outstanding amounts of rates, I mean, it shows that we're serious about trying to collect these rates. So it's not doesn't fall onto the ones that are doing the right thing. And I think that then encourages more people to then make payment plans and realistic payment plans. That's the key too, because if people don't make a realistic payment plan, they're only getting further and further and further behind, so they're not really even helping themselves.
Any other discussions, councillors, for that to a vote? No discussion? Yeah. We'll put the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Item 23 is matters of proposed meetings. Recommendation that items 24, 26, 37, 26 discussed by council closed session. Someone like to move that way, please? Councillor Newlands and Councillor Hamer. Put that to a vote. All those in favour? Against? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we can have a 5-minute pit stop.
Oh no, that was lap.
Yay.
Oh,
I'm stuck on my chair.
I am.
You're recording. You're recording. Recording.
Yep.
Still.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sorry.
Still up there.
I didn't see it out like that.